Adho Mukha Svanasana, good old down dog. What's the point of this pose? Anybody? It's an inversion, yep. But what's the point of it? What's the goal? Why do we do this pose? We're lengthening the side waist, actually, more than anything. We're lengthening side waist versus the back body. So from hips to armpits, people are getting longer, right? Yep, good. So this is a side waist lengthener. What else is this? It's an inversion, yeah. But what's the point? What is happening in the body? Are we opening up the hamstrings? Yeah, this is standing forward fold in a different plane. So we're opening up the hamstrings. Like a standing forward fold, we're strengthening the quadriceps. Different, though, is that we're not engaging the core in the same way. It's more of a sideways lengthener than opening up the back body. So that's where it changes. There's a lot more weight in the hands and shoulders. So it strengthens the shoulders, strengthens the arms. It's quote unquote a resting pose, which I always remember when I first started yoga, I was like, there's nothing resting about the situation. But we get there at some point, some of us, right? Depending, okay? It's a resting pose. It's a place that we kind of come back to. But yeah, the idea is to really lengthen and strengthen. Lengthen hamstrings, strengthen quadriceps, open up, some people are gonna feel this in their calves, their Achilles, right? And then it strengthens your biceps, your triceps, it opens up your lats, your side waist. It's a great pose. Okay, who should not do this pose? We never start with a negative like this, but we're just gonna do it quickly. Anybody dealing with wrist or shoulder things, depending upon what wrist and shoulder things they're dealing with, where they're not allowed to put any weight, they're not supposed to weight bear at all. It's not as much weight bearing as like, let's say plank pose, but it is still weight bearing. So what could we offer people instead if they are not weight bearing in the wrists and shoulders? Against the walls, yeah, that's a great one. If you've got ballet bars, as we just casually have here, you could have people holding onto the ballet bars and coming into it so that they're still getting the side waist stretch, or onto the wall, as Joy was just saying. Great. What else can we do? Yeah, chairs. You can do it with chairs, the Iyengar way, right? Where you're up a little bit higher and not bearing weight. Child's pose, Anahata Asana, heart pose, right? So downward facing puppy. Or just child's pose. Okay, but that would create the lateral opening, the side waist opening, but it won't necessarily open up the hamstring. So you would choose for for yourself or your students, what am I looking for in my own body? So if I do want to stretch my hamstrings, then maybe when everybody goes back in a down dog, I stay in a standing forward fold. So I'm opening up my hamstrings without weight bearing in my upper body, right? So there's always like so many ways that we can offer it to people, okay? Okay, so those would be like the biggest things. And of course, we're bending our knees as much as we need to in this pose, right? For hamstrings and lower back always. Okay, so we've already talked about feet, so I'm gonna leave the feet because we talked about in Tadasana. It's the same feet position in down dog for most of us. We'll maybe get into that. How wide should your hands be left to right in down dog? Like, how do you choose that for yourself? Or for your students? Yes, great. I'm just going to recap that for everybody at home. So if you're quite mobile in the shoulders and are looking to create more stability, your hands would be a little bit closer together. If you actually don't have a lot of mobility and we'll just say broader shoulders, then you usually will take your hands further apart. And now it also talks into what Alex is talking about, is which direction the hands should be facing. So how should I be placing these amazing hands of mine on the ground? So I can get my palms flat, great, but like in terms of when I'm cueing this to my students and or doing it in my own practice, like what are some... Index finger forward. I was like, thank you. I was like, the thing, it's like a roadmap. There we go. Okay, so you're saying index fingers forward. So there's a soft external rotation of the upper arms. Okay, why? Upper arms, okay. And why do I want that? If I externally rotate my arms, my shoulder blades naturally come closer together and down my back. Do you feel that? Yes or no? Yeah. Yeah, is that what I'm looking for in down dog?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily. It used to be the way. That's why I'm saying this. We don't cue this way anymore. It has changed. It has changed because of our good old physical therapist friends. The PT world has come to us and been like, this isn't actually good for people's shoulders when they're weight bearing. We're actually not trying to get the shoulder blades onto the back. As Judith Lassiter, one of my restorative teachers, would say, when you go to get something out of the cupboard, do you take your arm up, externally rotate it, plug it back into your shoulder socket, and then reach your arm up. Does anybody do that? Nobody does that. What do? You take your arm out. What happens to my shoulder blade? It goes out to the side. That is natural. That is the way to do it. And I'm saying it, or why I'm glad you're bringing it up, is because especially if you're in the Anusara community, we talked a lot about externally rotate upper arm, plug shoulder blade plug your shoulder back into the socket, reach the arm overhead. That actually creates a whole ton of compression and unnecessary weight right up into our trap. And then PTs were seeing all kinds of crazy injuries up here because of it. And then they were like, why are you telling people to cue that? And what happened is John Friend, way back when he was studying with Iyengar, he had hypermobile arms, and so Iyengar told him to draw it back, but specifically for his body, not for everybody. But unfortunately, we took that cue, he came back to America and ran with it, and we all did it. But that's what happens. And then you learn, and then we're like, actually, just kidding, don't do that anymore. Okay? So we don't do that. When your arms are overhead, please don't ever ask people to hug and draw in. This creates compression, okay?
But you don't even cue your